Now, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to watching anime, I always tend to enjoy some of the more minor characters the most. I find that when good writers know they're not going to have a lot of time to dedicate to a character, they tend to make the absolute most of it, or at least more so compared to the protagonists. They know that the audience doesn't necessarily have this already established enjoyment and complete understanding of that character, so they have to bring them in and make them enjoy them all in a limited time span. The Card Fight Vanguard anime is one of my favorites, and I feel that it almost always excels in this practice. I've been rewatching the anime from start to finish lately, and it wasn't until I re-arrived at episode 121 that I realized how much I enjoyed the small but extremely meaningful amount of love that was given to the show's original and still one of the most consistent Tachikaze clan users, Izaki Yuta. The first time we see Izaki, he's very much a background character. He's a sidekick to our already very main sidekick, Katsumi Morikawa. It isn't even until episode 9 of season 1 that we see Izaki actually perform in a card fight against our protagonist, Aichi Sendo. This is during the first shop tournament at Card Capital, and in the fight we see Izaki is incredibly nervous, almost as nervous as the timid Aichi. The two of them drop their cards while shuffling, make a few misplays, and kind of just fumble around in general. Eventually they vocalize that they realize how nervous each other are, and that even though this is a tournament, they're just friends card fighting and they should relax. Izaki really resonates with this and agrees to go all out against Aichi, and the remainder of the fight is actually quite enjoyable. Now Izaki still loses because Tachikaze doesn't get real cards for like 2 years, and also Aichi double crits him, but I digress. You see a hint of seriousness in Izaki that simply wasn't present before, and when he declares that he's gonna go all out against Aichi, you kind of feel something. This pinch of emotion hits you, and it kind of makes you excited to see where his character might end up going. Then he doesn't play again until about 100 episodes later. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's true though, we don't get to see anything else out of his character until substantially later on in the series. He continues to have lots of screen time and dialogue, joke around with Morikawa and everyone, cheer Q4 on at every tournament they go to, assist Miwa in looking after Card Capital while everyone's away, accompanying them on all the resort training trips, and then he goes on to become an integral member of Hitsui High's Vanguard Club. He's even shown to still be a card fighter well into the future after the time skip into the G anime, and he even eventually gets a job helping out at the original Card Capital as well. So the point is, he doesn't go anywhere, but his character never actually goes anywhere. The biggest impact Izaki has on the story after his fight with Aichi is that later on in the season, he participates in another Card Capital shop tournament. This one in particular was a team tournament in which he was a member of Team Overthrow, a team consisting of him, Morikawa, and Miwa. Their team makes it to the final round, and we can assume that due to Morikawa's presence on the team and his grade 3 obsession, Izaki and Miwa had to both go all day without dropping a single game to make it this far. This is even something that's commented on by some of the other characters. Now, yes, while Emi was also a member of this team, that's not revealed until the final round against Kamui, so I think it's safe to assume she hadn't participated up until that point. But while this does mean Izaki had to pull off quite a few wins during this tournament, we still don't get to see him actually do any of that fighting. That is, until the first round of the VF High School Championship. Hitsui High's Vanguard Club is pitted against Miyagi Academies, and Aichi and his friends must defeat them in this elimination round to advance through the tournament. The round is ultimately set to be decided by a final game between Aichi and Izaki, and everyone seems to have already made up their mind on how this is going to go. Aichi, now having beaten countless powerful opponents across the series, and won both the National Championship and Asia Circuit tournaments, seems completely in a different league. But Izaki and Hitsui aren't as certain. Now it's important to note that Izaki does have a third fight of the series. Earlier in the season, Hitsui High and Miyagi Academy have already faced off in an intramural match between schools. During this, Izaki is pitted up against Korin and completely defeated. We don't even get to see the fight except for Izaki taking his 6 damage because we know that he simply wasn't fighting very seriously, or because the anime is a commercial and advertising tyrant Deathrex in season 3 isn't really filling pockets. But either way, the loss appears completely one-sided, and from what we can see, Izaki is still using his old cards from the first couple sets of the game. Neither he or his deck has improved in the slightest. He also gets to see Aichi fight up close and personal for the first time in quite a while during this match. But it isn't until flashbacks, as he and Aichi's new fight begins, that we see the full effects of these experiences on Izaki. Seeing Aichi, the person who, only just a few years ago, he could stand toe-to-toe with in a Card Capital shop tournament, now just being leagues ahead of him, made Izaki realize how far away he was from everyone. This kind of lights a fire inside him, and Izaki begins to spread that fire through the rest of his team. After coming to Morikawa with his frustrations, he and the rest of Hitsui all agree to let Izaki fight Aichi in the VF High School Championship, and they even help him with special training day in and day out. Even the Stone Cold Kai recognizes Izaki's desire to improve and agrees to the plan. This is especially impactful in my opinion because at this point in time, we know exactly how strong Kai's desire to fight Aichi himself is and settle his questions about his own strength. After a series of gut-wrenching side character emotional scenes, we come back to Izaki and Aichi's fight a few turns in, and we see this especially explosive turn by him. He activates abilities, attacks properly, and really shocks the audience who remarks how serious he is, despite being an aforementioned completely unknown tournament fighter with 0 previous accolades. The highlight of this turn for me is when attacking, Izaki shouts to Aichi, mirroring Miwa's same shout to Misaki during their fight. It's not only a fun callback, but to me also represents the intense connection the Hitsuhei High members have with each other and how involved in each other's motivations they all are. Aichi will always face any opponent seriously, but it's here that he realizes he really can't take Izaki lightly at all during this fight. After his friends cheer him on some more, we get another flashback of Miwa and Kai better helping Izaki understand how to play his deck and what using Tachikaze really means. I always love these kind of scenes in card game anime because seeing yourself tangibly improve is one of the most fun aspects of playing these games, and seeing its representation in the anime is always great, especially when it is with a deck you love. Tachikaze players are some of the most gutless and crazy players in the game community, but we never really see Izaki resonate personally with the clan, and while we still don't see too much of that here, it's nice to see that he's clearly committed to the deck and learning it, and the rest of Hitsuhei High respects that as well. As Izaki starts his attack, he remembers he and Aichi's first on-screen fight so long ago, and it's here that his true motivation comes forth. He laments on how far away Aichi is from him, and that he wants to try and be able to see the view that Aichi now sees. He refers to this as the view that only the strong can see. Izaki puts everything on the line and attacks with his Vanguard, devouring his own rear guards, as well as Aichi's entire hand in an attempt to finish things in one shot. In classic Vanguard fashion, 2 triggers are going to decide the game in Izaki's favor. He receives the first one and splits the power and critical to his Vanguard and rear guard respectively. I'm pointing this out because it's actually a pretty smart play, since he knows Tyranno Legend already has enough criticals to finish the game, and he knows Aichi can't guard the rear guard anyway because he has no hand left. This way, he maximizes damage even if he doesn't pull that second trigger and win. I feel like this is a really subtle way of showing us that Izaki has improved at least technically, since it's something that they choose to do that doesn't actually affect the overall outcome of the fight. Chance of come from the rest of Hitsuhei, barring Kai, but you know he's thinking it. But they simply aren't enough to will it into being, leading to Aichi getting another turn. But even Aichi remarks how Izaki winning there wouldn't have been surprising at all. Sadly for our hero, Aichi's main character powers deliver him Blaster Blade Liberator for a victory. But it's as Aichi's swinging the final blow that Izaki realizes he's now seen it. Aichi is fighting with every ounce of his seriousness, and the game is way too close for comfort for either team. Izaki is finally seeing what he coveted, the view that only the strong can see. You can see the exact moment that he realizes that, in that he becomes completely content with the outcome of the fight. He says it himself, he wasn't up there to win, he wanted to see how far he could push himself, how far he could make it, and just how strong he could become no matter where it ended. Just to see that view was Izaki's true goal, and he absolutely achieves that. After Izaki takes his 6th damage, he has a moment of resignation before he begins to shed tears. It almost feels like for a moment, he forgets everything he just saw, and he admits to himself that he was just a side character all along, and he could never hope to win this fight. Then the crowd gives Izaki a standing ovation. Everyone rises from their seats to cheer him on for his efforts, and the spotlight is completely on him. Aichi walks over, extends his hand forward, and confirms it. He's seen that view again. The view of the strong. Hitsuhei High welcomes their team member back with open arms and kind words, but Izaki does not need an ounce of consolement. He achieved everything he set out to do and proved that he can move the audience's hearts and our own with his fierce, passionate, manly spirit. Hey guys, if you watched all the way through this, I want to give you a huge thank you. This is the first video like this I've put on the channel, and it's kind of something I've always been interested in doing. I've been rewatching the Vanguard anime lately, and it's really pushed me to want to do some interesting anime analysis, character analysis, and other kinds of video essay content. It's something I really enjoy, so maybe be on the lookout for more stuff like this in the coming days. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care.